Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Silverman. I'm here with Robert Kernan from the North Star Advisory Group. Today, we're talking about Roth conversions, how to turn future tax burdens into long-term opportunities. Robert, why don't you start by telling us just the main difference between a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA?
Thank you, Jeff. Yes, in regards to the Roth versus the regular IRA, a regular IRA money is contributed to that account on a pre-tax basis. That money is subsequently taxed later in life when the withdrawals are taken based on the client's RMD age. In regards to a Roth IRA, contributions are made to that account on an after-tax basis. Once that money is in that account, it's subsequently the plan is to grow that money over time. And then when a distribution is taken, that money comes out completely tax-free for life. There are no minimum required distributions with a Roth IRA, unlike a regular IRA.
Yeah, so that's a big benefit to have a Roth IRA as opposed to a regular. So, what exactly is a Roth conversion? How does that work?
So there's a tax strategy clients are utilizing where they can convert either part or all of their existing IRA to a Roth IRA in any given year. However, the client needs to be aware when they do the conversion, any money that's converted from an IRA to a Roth IRA is considered ordinary income in the year of conversion. So, for example, let's say you have a $500,000 IRA, you decide you want to do a $50,000 Roth IRA conversion. Essentially, that's $50,000 is going to be taxed to you as ordinary income in the year of conversion.
Okay, so you're going to be paying taxes the year that you do the conversion. So, how do you determine when is a good time to do this?
A couple different scenarios present themselves for the opportunity. One, if you have a year where your income is lower for any reason, maybe you had a job change, maybe you just quit and decided to pursue a different career, maybe you had an early retirement and your income is now supplemented by either a pension or Social Security. So we kind of play the tax bracket game. So if you're going to be in a lower tax bracket, that's one of the conditions that makes sense. The other kind of condition or environment that makes sense to consider it is if we have a down year in the market. Your IRA value is lower, so it may be worthwhile to look at converting a portion of that into a Roth while the asset levels are have gone down in value. Typically, especially like where we're at now with the market at all-time highs, it makes less sense.
Gotcha. So, probably like that, like if someone retires at 65, that's window between 65 and 73 when the RMDs begin would be a good time to really look at that, right?
Absolutely. That's a good point because obviously once they turn 73, they're going to be forced to take an RMD, require minimum distribution. And if they have an opportunity to convert a portion of that IRA to a Roth prior to 73, once they turn 73, ideally the value of the IRA is lower. Hence, the required distribution amount is also lower. Hence, the tax liability is also lower.
Okay. So, can you give us like an example, a real life example of how that could look for the client?
Sure, absolutely. So let's use an account value of $1 million. Let's say the client has $1 million in their regular IRA. They retired from a company that they worked for 30 years. It was originally a 401k. They did a rollover into an IRA. And if they do nothing, once they turn 73, the required minimum distribution has the potential to push them up into the 22% or 24% bracket. And if you look at their life expectancy over retirement and the IRS life expectancy tables, they could pay roughly $250,000 to $300,000 in taxes over their uh, lifetime. And then you also have to remember that then goes to their beneficiary, whether it's their spouse or their children, and their beneficiary is also going to be subject to ordinary income tax on the required distribution. If it goes to their children under the new law, the children have to take it out within 10 years. So that could be problematic from an income tax standpoint. Now, if you did a strategic conversion, the taxes, depending on the life expectancy of the client and the beneficiaries, you're looking at roughly $150,000 to $180,000 in taxes. which could potentially create $100,000 in lifetime tax savings. Plus, with the Roth, as we know, that money essentially grows tax-free forever.
So, knowing all this, like, how do we help determine our clients, like, if they should do it and when they should do it?
Um, it's really on a case-by-case basis. There's a couple driving factors. One, where your taxable income is going to fall in a given year. We'll look at that relative to the income tax brackets. Two, how much you're looking to convert. And then three, and this is one most people don't think about, but when you do the conversion, you have to have funds outside of the converted amount to pay the tax. So do not plan to use a portion of the converted money to pay the income tax liability, because then it starts to make the strategy less attractive. So there are the three kind of key components that we look at. What we also offer to do for the clients is, if they're unsure or they don't really understand it, we're happy to jump on a conference call with their CPA and have the three of us walk through it, and with the CPA's advice, to determine how high can we go or how much of a conversion we can do before we push them into the next highest tax bracket.
Okay. And I know we have some new software, financial planning software, that really can help us determine that as well.
Correct.
So this is great info. Are there any other tax strategies you've been using this year that you think people might be interested in hearing about?
Yes, one strategy we've seen kind of related to the Roth, and I'm seeing more and more of it, is we have a demographic of clients that are being forced to take RMDs, and they've realized that they're never going to outlive their assets, and they have children, and they want to start gifting to the children. So one strategy we've discussed with several clients this year is the client takes their RMD, or takes their RMD plus a little extra. Obviously, the client is going to bear the tax burden because it's coming out to them as ordinary income. And then once they've received that cash, they then gift money to their children, or multiple children. Right now, you can gift $19,000 per person per year. So between a husband and wife, they could give one of their children $38,000. And then, depending on the child's situation, and we've seen this work depending on the income level the child makes. So if the child's married, the exemption amount is up to $236,000. If they're single, it's $150,000. If they make over either of those two amounts, it doesn't really work. However, if they're making under that, what the child then does is take $7,000 of that gifted money, makes a Roth contribution, and then obviously that money is now in their name, and it's going to grow tax-free for the rest of their life. So it's a pretty neat strategy. It works in certain situations, but we're seeing it more and more with the demographic of clients that we deal with that are retired. It's a pretty unique strategy, and when it works really well.
Okay, this is great. And I know that we're proactively reaching out to clients where we think they might benefit. But if anyone out there is unsure and wants to talk about it, they could give us a call anytime and discuss.
Yes, if you're unsure, you want to have that conference call with us and the CPA, we'd be happy to help you out.
Okay. All right. This has been really helpful. Thank you, Robert. Have a great day. And thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you, Jeff. Everybody enjoy Halloween and their holidays coming up here. Thank you.
All right. Will do.
All right. Take care.